Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
where are we today?
We are back in our apartments
Oh,
because
yeah.
COVID. But we did go to a movie theater in our last episode, which was very
Oh,
exciting.
yeah, yeah. After having our first guest star, we also had our first cinema experience in what, 6 months, 9 months?
Is
I don't remember, 20
yeah,
years. I don't remember how long has
a,
it been.
a little over 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say that it was great. It was great, like being back at a cinema theater. Like just even if it was only like what, five of us, I think that it was great.
We did a private viewing party because Jose here turned the big 4-0.
Yeah, I did. I'm old. You can call me daddy officially now.
And tell me, Jose, of all of the movies that were available, which one did you pick for us to watch?
So instead of actually going with the latest Christopher Nolan, already probably overrated piece of shit,
Thank
I
you for
am
that, by the way.
for
Thank you
what?
for not making me watch that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm like really over Christopher Nolan, but that's another topic. I decided to go with the selection of movies that they have from the 80s and the 90s. And we ended up going with what I thought that it would be like a bit more of an alignment of our passions, because I know that you really like this movie, and I liked this movie when it came out. As I was talking with some of my friends before we went into the theater, is like I forced my sister to watch this movie, and my sister almost stopped talking to me back in the day.
Why?
Because I think that at that point she was at the point that I was like 20 years later, about like, yeah, I can appreciate cinema as something better. She
Oh.
was already at that point like, why did you make me watch this? But as a kid, it was like everyone was talking about this movie. I needed to watch this movie. So the movie that we went to watch, it was actually Jurassic Park. And the reason why I picked it, as I said, is that I know that you love dinosaurs, that for you,
Da-da, 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 da-da.
for you, I know what was that supposed to be?
The Jurassic Park theme song?
Na 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 na. Sure, yeah,
Yeah,
why
it's a
not?
different part of it.
Okay, so I know that you watched this movie like countless times. I know that you like
Okay, let's not let the
dinosaurs.
listeners get like crazy. Yeah, I got excited and saw this when I was 11, and I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times in the last 30 years.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I have to say that everyone else that I was in the theater, they knew quotes by memory.
Oh yeah, but I think that's because I don't know how it was in Spain, but this was like the definition of a
The movie.
blockbuster. This was enormous. Everybody saw it.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, one of them, he actually said to me after the movie that is like, look, this was the movie that we had in VHS that all of our nannies, like babysitters or whatever, is like they would play for us. Is that I watched this movie 100 times just because it was the only thing to watch.
Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think I owned the VHS. I've never owned that. Interesting.
Did you ever own the Blu-ray?
No, no.
Okay, okay. Not doing anything right now.
So how old were you when this came out? So this came out in
Uh,
'93, right?
13? Yeah,
You were 13.
yeah,
Okay. So I was
yeah.
9 when this came out. And I was 100% obsessed with dinosaurs. Like my mom had painted dinosaur tracks on my bedroom floor. I was also raised in a fundamentalist Mormon home, and
Hmm.
so rated R movies were out of the question, and I was never allowed to watch PG-13 movies ever. And because I drove my mom absolutely insane, I think this is the first PG-13 movie I ever saw.
That's amazing. I have to say that's like pretty cool, pretty interesting Blake trivia that you shared
And then
there.
she was actually right to do that because this gave me reoccurring nightmares for about 6, 7 years. I had the same dream over and over, and
Of a T-Rex eating you.
I was at my grandparents' farm, which was real, but instead of the animals that were actually there, they were like velociraptors and triceratops, and I was like running scared for my life. Anyway, back to the movie.
Yeah, I have to say that is like when I watched it the first time, I remember like the velociraptors like being way more scary than the T-Rex, because the T-Rex is like you don't move, that's it. It's like a gigantic monster, but that you don't move is that it has like such a weakness that is ridiculous, as a species. That why it didn't extinct itself before the meteorite or whatever it happened is we don't know. But the velociraptors were like just significantly smarter, and they are presented in a way that is like they are the ultimate enemy. So for me, it was like, yeah, that's terrifying.
And he knew that, and that's why he like was kind of guarded. Like you don't see the velociraptors in that cage initially when they lower the cow into it. Like they keep them very hidden until basically he's ready to scare you with them, and then it's a not a shit show in a bad way, but just a shit show for the people on the island. Yeah.
So for just giving like a bit more of context, I actually chose this movie over The Empire Strikes Back because I know that you are not a big Star Wars fan, but I think that that's like the only sellable Star Wars movie out there. I think that is actually a good movie.
Which episode is that?
Episode 5.
Okay.
But if you haven't watched episode 4, is completely random. The other ones were Beetlejuice, that I like Tim Burton. I like that movie, but I don't think that it aged well.
There was like The Goonies.
The Goonies was the other
Hocus
one.
Pocus.
Oh, God.
What else? It was an interesting selection of like quote unquote classics, and then maybe 4 or 5 new films, including Tenet, which nobody cares about. Why do we hate that movie so much and we haven't even seen it?
Well, because we know what Christopher Nolan does. So, yeah. But yeah, what is Jurassic Park about? Like,
I would be willing to bet that all 6 of our listeners have seen Jurassic Park. But basically, there's this guy, John Hammond. He's like an Elon Musk of the 90s, just super wealthy. He hires scientists to bring dinosaurs back to life from dino DNA. And
dinosaur.
He built a theme park on an island it's supposed to be
Costa Rica. Yeah.
And the investors aren't really, they're not sure about the safety. And so they demand that they get some dinosaur experts to come and check out the park. Those dinosaur experts happen to be Sam Neill and Laura Dern. God bless Laura Dern. And Jeff Goldblum, who I think is the most unintentionally hilarious performance that I've seen.
I have to say, and I'm sorry to just interrupt at this point, but it's that Jeff Goldblum for me, as a 40-year-old person watching the movie, it just revitalized it.
It was amazing. Every time he would like appear, not even saying anything, just in a ridiculous position, all of us would just burst out laughing. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the 2 real paleontologists, they come to the island, and Jeff Goldblum and John Hammond's grandkids come to visit the park before it's open, and they try to experience it. And of course, the evil hacker is, what is his name? I don't know his...
Newman? That's his role.
From Seinfeld. He decides to shut down the park's defenses in order to smuggle out some of the dinosaur embryos to sell to a competitor. During that time, all the dinosaurs escape, and then it's a lot of running from dinosaurs and a lot of
screaming.
Yeah. Oh, and Samuel L. Jackson is in it. There's so much to this movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, the cast is amazing. The cast is like surprisingly about like how, well, Sam Neill, I think that it was like probably the biggest name at the point out of the cast.
Yeah, that's probably true. My only other, I think Jeff Goldblum was pretty big at that time. He had already done The Fly, right? Like those David Cronenberg films.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, but I would say that Sam Neill was an actor that during the 90s, he was basically on everything that it was like just fantasy or sci-fi or whatever, he was in there. And he was like a bit more of a solid investment about like everything else can suck, but at least Sam Neill is going to be like doing an okay interpretation. But Samuel L. Jackson was not big at that point.
Yeah, because this was, I think, I could be wrong, I'm not an expert in Samuel L. Jackson's career, but I think Pulp Fiction is really what launched him. Is that wrong? Oh, no. Was it Snakes on a Plane?
No, Snakes on a Plane is like 15 years later, man.
That was a joke. But yeah, he had a really small part, which it was interesting, understanding him now. When you see him as just kind of this hacker, you kind of expect, oh, he's going to have a big role. And no, he just kind of did some hacking and then died.
Yep, basically that. Yeah, yeah, Newman is called Wayne Knight.
Wayne Knight.
Yeah. That is known by Jurassic Park, Seinfeld, and Space Jam.
Yeah, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson's credits before this are like The Exorcist 3. He was in Goodfellas. He was in an episode of Law and Order in 1991. So yeah, I would say this is the biggest thing that he had been in. Oh, he was in Patriot Games, which was a pretty big deal, but I didn't see it. I don't know how big of a...
TV series, TV movies, Ragtime, The Exterminator. I remember The Exterminator. As an extra, uncredited.
Oh my gosh, he was in this PBS TV show my sister and I were obsessed with called Ghost Rider, where they had pens that would... The pens would be write stuff with ghosts and the kids would solve crimes and stuff.
God, I love that. You haven't watched The Venture Bros, but you should.
I really should.
Yeah.
I really, really should.
Because it actually makes fun about like the kids that they are in love with that kind of shows, while the reality is completely different and they're delusional about it.
So, back to Jurassic Park. I 100% thoroughly enjoyed it. There are some laughable things. It's true. But overall, I think the five of us actually had a conversation that we're blown away at the special effects. Unless that was like a remastered one, those special effects hold up like crazy, except when there's like close-up interactions with the dinosaurs, then they kind of look bad.
Well, but even with the Triceratops, when they interact with it, it's like it doesn't have to move. It's actually like, because that's the funny thing is like we don't see any Triceratops moving around. We only see one laying down. When Sam Neill just hugs him. But everything else is actually just roaming around. And like the ones that they don't have to interact when they are afar, when they are like CG graphics, like computer generated graphics, I had the feeling that they're like, it's surprisingly better than I remember. But when they saw the Velociraptors, like the claws of the Velociraptors, and they look like Jim Henson puppets. Yeah, it's like that's not good. But I'm surprised that the T-Rex was in some of the scenes an animatronic, because that's actually well made. It's like, I remember that scene when it was there, it was like, wow, okay, I could actually beat a T-Rex. I don't move, that's it. But it's still like really impressive what it did with this.
Yeah, I was blown away. And I was looking, because I was very aware this is almost a 30-year-old film that I love. I actually commented to you on the end that I was surprised at kind of like the intimacy of the story. It was kind of very small. I don't know how to describe this, but like he could have gone crazy, but he also left something in there for the for the script.
So you mean like from the perspective of like, is the story about like Sam Neill accepting that he can be a father? No, I don't mean that. I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say, but it's actually like, if you think of the final scene or the final climax, they're basically in the park visitor center, and Laura Dern and Sam Neill are trying to protect John Hammond's two kids from two raptors. Like, it's that small, and they just run around, and eventually the T-Rex comes in and saves the day. But if you think at the kind of messiness of the Jurassic World scripts, there's so much fucking crammed in there that you don't have time to care about any of the characters. Like dinosaurs are dying left and right, but this was actually just a very small, intimate story, which I appreciated. Yeah, I mean, they're like just a group of people that they're on the island, that they're stranded on the island. Yeah, I mean, from that perspective, yeah, it's okay, but it's like it's almost like what you see in any slasher movie. It's like it's a group of teenagers doing something stupid, and you have to care about them. The only thing is like, at least the adults were a bit better, albeit they were not developed a lot. And the kids, as I told you after the movie, is like I appreciate that the kids are, you want them. I mean, not really to die, is that they're like the kind of kids that you don't care about. But in most movies, like for example, even from the 90s, like Aliens, is that the kids are just screaming all the time, like just being off. I want them to die. In these ones that they're screaming all the time, but they punish them. Is that they
that's fucking Spielberg's thing. If you watch any of his shitty movies, E.T., Close Encounters, there's always young kids screaming, and I think that he must have had some sort of childhood like that.
Sure, but in Aliens, for example, is that the kid, even that little girl, you watch Aliens, no? But yes, Cameron.
I have. I don't remember it. All the aliens run together.
Yeah, well, I feel offended right now. I feel like just physically attacked. But in that movie, there is the little girl, and she spends like 99% of the time screaming on the screen, even if there is no like significant danger for her. It's like she's just screaming all the time. It's like just basically Sigourney Weaver introducing herself, you know, and it's like she's screaming at that point. So at least these kids, when they are screaming, most of the time, the little girl, not that much, but it's like they're like punished. They're like just torture all the movie. And I like that. I like that. It's like, okay, it's not about like just say, oh, they're just dumb, because they are. But
they are not dumb. One's a paleontologist expert, and the girl is a hacker who saves the entire island.
Sure, because she knows Unix. I've seen Unix. I know this. But no, they're like pretty dumb. Let's just be honest. Because the point that little Timmy actually is trapped in the car, and he's like, come on, just give me your hand. He's like, no, I want to stay here. You're going to die. He's like, no, I still want to stay here.
I threw up.
It's just dumb. Let's just leave it at that. Or basically, the little girl like just screaming and all the dinosaurs that she sees at the beginning and just calling them monsters. It's like, if you were just calling them monsters, why did you even go to the island?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like they suffer. I like that. I know that it sounds terrible right now, but it's like I like that those kids actually have like bad stuff happening today.
You sound like a serial killer that likes to murder children specifically.
No, because I actually can see that Sam Neill saves them, but saves them for real danger. It's not like, oh yeah, I saved you because I'm just here. It's not like, okay, I have to do something because something even worse is going to happen to you.
But did you like the movie overall? The story, the
Oh yeah, I mean I like it. I think there is like a really solid blockbuster from the 90s. It's like I have forgotten actually how enjoyable it was. I only watched it once back in the day. I never watched it again, and I felt like this is a decent movie. This is a movie that I can actually just recommend to other people. It's like if they actually tell me like, oh, we can watch Jurassic Park, or we can watch something else. I will go with Enemy, but if I'm watching it with Edwin. You know, probably I would say like, look, there is no metaphors on this. Everything is like completely face value. Don't worry, there is no arsiness to this movie. So let's watch Jurassic Park. You're going to enjoy it more. I think that it's a good evolution of what the adventure cinema from the 80s was.
90s.
No, what I'm saying is like, if you think about like the 80s adventure cinema, like the Goonies or Indiana Jones, the first couple of them, is that this is a good evolution of it.
How do you feel like this movie compares to, for instance, the most recent Marvel movies, which are just popcorn flicks with nothing to them?
I think that it's basically the same. Maybe, I mean, wait. Is that the thing is that
I'm sorry, my jaw just dropped to the floor because I'm personally offended.
I watched so many Marvel movies, and the thing is that I relate in a different way to Marvel movies that you do because I like comics, and I read like most of those comics when I was little. So it's like from my perspective, it's like as long as they don't cross a line, I know that they're like playing it as safe as possible. They're never going to be like torturing a couple of kids. They're never going to be like doing that. Never. But I think that both of them are like just targeted to families. Now the only thing is like I think that families from 2010s, they're dumb compared with families in the 90s.
I think that it's interesting because who is the director that just recently said that Marvel movies are not movies, they're theme parks? I'm pretty sure it was Scorsese.
Scorsese? Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely agree. Just this is my personal opinion. I'm not trying to offend you or anybody else, but I go to a Marvel movie and I'm like, this is literally just a formulaic cookie.
Oh yeah. Look,
but I think that Jurassic Park is elevated beyond that. I think that there's something special there that is missing from adventure films.
Well, the difference, I think that is like since those times, since the 80s, the cinema industry, I don't know if we can actually call cinema like elevated, is that the movie industry has actually perfected the manual about like how to make a blockbuster, an adventure blockbuster. So that's the reason why I'm not so interested in Jurassic World, or like in Marvel movies. Is like I stopped watching it. My ex was completely in love with them, so I will watch them. But it's like because I was forced, and because I actually correlate. I can actually just have like the context of the stories from the comics, but it's just by the manual. It's just a product.
Did you go see the last Avengers film 3 times in movie theaters?
No. No, I can tell you no.
Twice, maybe?
No.
All right.
No, honestly, no. I'm not retarded by this. Is that the problem that I have with those movies is that they are like just by the manual, is that they play it so safe, is that you can actually just see all the elements that they reuse about like, okay, we have to have like this kind of joke, we have to have like this kind of a story, we have to have like, it's just that. It's like the only thing is like Jurassic Park, I think that is better because it actually came earlier and there is a bit more of heart. Well, there is significantly more heart.
So let's say
this place there.
Let's say in 10 years from now, we're still best friends, still living in San Francisco.
Oh, are we best friends now?
Yes, we are. And you can deny it as much as you want, but it's true.
Sure.
I mean, if I had a private viewing party, I would invite you. That's
only
that's
you.
About it. In 10 years, would you? I guess I like Jurassic Park more than you, but I would definitely feel like going back to Jurassic Park because I feel like it has enough quality and story that I would want to see it again, but I literally wouldn't even be able to recall any of the Marvel Universe movies well enough to be like, oh yeah, that's a good movie.
Oh no, I think that there is like just probably a couple of good quote unquote movies from Marvel. One of them is Thor Ragnarok because they actually went with a director that has some kind of vision. While everyone else is like, look, you may have a vision, but we don't care. That's what Disney would tell you. Is that you may even like just hire Haneke for directing a Marvel movie, and it will still look. It will still direct it as anyone else. It will be more like, sure, yeah. I actually have to just follow up all these directions. I will just do everything else that everyone did.
I always forget that Taika Waititi did that. I should watch that movie. I should.
That one is funny. I won't say that it's like a good movie, but it has Jeff Goldblum too, and he does a Jeff Goldblum role. And now going to Jeff Goldblum again, it's like I love him. It's like as I told you after we were done with the movie, is I had a feeling that it's like his script was just changing because everyone is like just trying to act, delivering their lines in a very like timely manner. Is that there are like sometimes with Jeff Goldblum that he takes some kind of awkward poses, like just chewing his gum and looking at other people and it's like, okay, I'm going to be like making this as awkward as I can.
Which I think is impressive because I don't get the impression Scorsese is that sort of director that just wants his actors to improvise, but he clearly gave Jeff Goldblum the opportunity to improvise and do whatever he wanted.
I love that you just say Scorsese instead of Spielberg.
Oh, damn it. Well, unlike last episode, we are not sober.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised because I don't think that Spielberg will ever like just allow to improvise. It's like he's a bit more like by the manual, by the book, kind of, okay, this is a blockbuster.
Just fucking read the script.
Yeah, it's like, it's not about you, it's about the special effects. It's a blockbuster.
Yep.
So it's like, I love the scene where he's like just laying down, like just...
Oh my god, that's too much. That's the one thing where I thought, There's a scene, if someone hasn't seen it, where he's had his leg injured by a dinosaur, and so he's laying back, almost laying down, but with his elbow propped up and one leg propped up, and his shirt's exposed, and the camera does like a close zoom in of him there looking kind of sexy. And the second it showed up, all five of us just like burst out laughing because it's so ridiculous.
I mean, the thing is, like, who is he trying to attract with that scene? It's like, who is he appealing with that?
And I remember as a very gay little 10-year-old, that did nothing for me. I just wanted to get in Sam Neill's pants. So, yeah.
I love that. I love like how awkward Jeff Goldblum is on every single scene. I love it.
I hope one of our listeners who's a little bit older than us was he like a sex symbol? Is he supposed to be sexy in that movie? Because I find him hilarious, but I don't see him as sexy.
But he was not, I mean, at that point, it was like a mixture between like, I'm trying to be sexy, but at the same time, I'm hilarious because I'm so, I don't know. It's like just trying to see like these guys that they dress like that they're in the 70s and they're like 50 now, like trying to be sexy with that aesthetic. Is like, even for the 90s, you were out of place.
I think he was supposed to be very edgy, and that's why he was dressing like that. But that doesn't come through in 2020. It's just a little bit awkward. His like dark they weren't even sunglasses. They were just dark glasses. It was a little weird.
Yeah.
So there are some dated aspects about this film, but overall, we talk a lot about being timely versus timeless. I would say that there are a few pieces that are timely, but that the vast majority of this film is timeless.
Yeah.
It holds up. It's an entertaining movie. It's everything I remember it was. I like this movie.
I don't remember like all of it. You know, there were like many parts that I missed. I want to mention this on the podcast because I told you when it was playing afterwards, I love the scene when they have the T-Rex showing up, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. There is no music. It's amazing. Yeah. It's like it actually builds up attention. That is that I wish that there was a version of this movie that I can watch on the cinema, that there is no music on the tense scenes. Is that I will only like just allow like the actors and the dinosaurs like take the center scene. But it's like most of the score is abusive from John Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert in Spielberg, but I do feel like he's a director who uses music to tell you how you're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice that scene didn't have music in it until you pointed it out, and I agree with you. It feels like the most effective, like quote-unquote horror scene. Like what was happening was so scary and tense, and it worked well without the music.
Yeah, I think that is like a genius stroke at that point for actually just setting or just like building how imposing the T-Rex is. That is like, we're not going to be like playing music. It's like just giving it like the main, like the center stage. That's the spotlight. That's the music, like the bomb when it's working, and the roaring is like that's the center stage.
And what I liked also about that scene, and I was thinking about this later, was that in that scene, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is not a monster, which at some point the dinosaurs become like quote unquote monsters. In that scene, he was just acting like a normal animal looking to eat, which is what was really, really, really scary and effective about that scene, is that he was looking around for food. And I don't know, that scene was really brilliant to me.
Yeah, I think there is a stroke of genius. Is that was my favorite scene when I watched it the original time. You know, I remember like just being like impressed by it. And now, as a grown up, that I see it again, that I watch it again, I can see that there is like way more value. There is like a bold move compared with the rest of the movies. That he actually made a decision. Spielberg made a decision about like there is not going to be music because I think that there is going to be an additional value if I do this. Now, once again, I wish that he did the same decision for everything else, because John Williams is great and tired.
Yeah, no, I agree. Too much music.
Yeah. So, would you remember this movie a year from
100%, yes. I've remembered this movie since 1993.
Would you say that there is something artistic about it?
Yeah, I think this is like Steven Spielberg kind of in his heyday. Like this is what he does, and he did it very well. And it's cool.
Yeah. Would you recommend it to anyone nowadays that they have never watched it before?
If I could find somebody that didn't see Jurassic Park, I would buy it for them. Make them watch it.
Did your mother watch it?
Yeah, she took me to it years ago.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's nice.
Remember, I was 11.
That's true. Yeah, for me, I watched it with my sister, but I couldn't actually probably just ask my parents to watch it because even at that point, they were like, "That's a blockbuster. I don't care."
Oh, your parents aren't into blockbusters?
No, they can see about that.
But that's kind of my point when I was asking about how it compares to Marvel movies, is because this is a blockbuster, but I do think it's above. There's something that makes it more than a blockbuster, at least for me.
No,
like I would never recommend my mother see a Marvel movie ever, but I would probably be like, "Oh, you got to watch Jurassic Park. It's super cool."
Would you recommend your mother to watch Mad Max, the latest one?
Yeah, probably.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's the other one that I can think that is a blockbuster, but is elevated blockbuster. I would never recommend my parents to watch that either. But
I can't wait to meet your parents next time they come to town.
And for me, artistically, I think that it's like a very forward-looking kind of movie. It's like how the CG graphics were used is impressive. You know, it's like they could actually just go back, because I think that is like even if this movie was remastered, I think that it was only for just improving the quality of the edit, not about just adding more special effects. It was not like Star Wars, you know, when they re-edit the episode 4, 5, and 6. So from that perspective, I thought that it was like pretty impressive about like what he could accomplish in '93. It's like that it could actually just be released right now almost as a new movie, and it will be significantly better than Jurassic Park.
And would you watch this movie again?
Yes, I will watch it, and I will remember. I mean, I remember like most of it, you know. So I think that it's like I'm fine. I didn't remember like up to the point about like some people in the theater that they could remove like a specific sentences. Is that I don't think I'm going to remember that. The only one that I remember is like the hacker, like just looking at the computer. Oh, this is a Uris. I know this.
Yeah. So this is a memorable film, like 100%, no matter who you are. You might not remember the fine details, but nobody's going to forget Jurassic Park. Nobody.
Yeah. So what is your score for it?
I would say a 7.5. Just because there's nothing here that makes me, it doesn't hold a mirror up to me. It doesn't make me think about existential angst or think about the world in a different way. But this is a way above average for me blockbuster adventure film, and I love dinosaurs, so
yeah, for me it would be a 7. I think that it's like a very decent movie, you know. It's above just entertaining, that I would be like a 6.5. I think that is like really well made. It's like I understand why that craze happened, you know, that sometimes on the 90s we had like this kind of hype of a movie coming up, you know, with all the marketing campaign going on, and then the movie wouldn't live up to the expectations that you built up before that. I think that this is a movie that actually live up to the expectations.
I agree. And if you compare it to like Avatar, which left zero cultural impact, zero. Nobody wants any 5 more Avatar films. They're coming, but nobody wants them.
Well, it's 5 or 3? Or sorry, it's going to be like a total of 3 or a total of 6?
I think there's a total of 3. I was just exaggerating, but my point is this made an impact on our culture and our generation, when other big blockbusters fail to do so.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Okay, so what are we watching next?
Next, we are going to go back to the world of Tom Tykwer, and it is going to be his film Heaven, which was written by Krzysztof Kieslowski. I'm sorry, I know I butchered that name. And stars Cate Blanchett. It's a film we've both seen before, right? Yes.
Yep.
And I thought Jose hadn't seen it when I picked it, but now I'm very excited to pick his brain, now that we've watched it a second time.
Yeah, also Phoebe's brother is on it.
Oh, come on. He's been in other good stuff.
Sure, yeah, sure. Okay, man, anything else to say about Jurassic Park?
Just, if you haven't seen this movie because you've lived in a cave for the last 30 years, just go see this movie. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I think that's fair. I think that probably like the 6 listeners that we have, they have all watched it, but they should be watching now as grown-ups.
Yeah, you should. It'll be worth it.
Yeah. And to those people, thank you so much for listening.
Wash your hands.
Bye.